Okay, all right. Hi everyone, my name is Shauna Gearman and I'm the Clinical Program Director here at Kaleidoscope Interventions. I'm a board certified behavior analyst, but I also have a degree in behavior management in organizations. So I work with employees because the principles of behavior for everybody are the same. So employees, kids, everything. So I actually work with the employees and making sure that they're reinforced in their job and if there's performance issues, things like that. So just a little background about me. Today we'll be talking about functional communication, and this is something a little different. I'm going to try to do some live polling. It is optional, so don't feel like you have to do it. It is 100% anonymous, but if you would like to, and including everyone out there on Facebook, I think I'm live right now, right? Okay, so also you on Facebook can answer the polls. I will have a number that you just text. So if you guys have your phones, if you have a smartphone with texting or any other web-enabled device, we can give you the code, the Wi-Fi if you need it. But if you could just pull those out if you're going to use it. If you're not, I'll just wait here. All right. Okay, so what you're going to need to do, if you're using your cell phone, you'll just need to text a code response to 22333. Or if you want to go online, pollev.com, and then you'll enter Shauna Gearman 621. All right, so I have a practice, kind of an icebreaker, so we can see if this works for us. Okay, so what one word would you use to describe yourself? So think of that and then text it to 22333 and see if the answer pops up.
Sean, I need to figure out a way to mount this because it only lets you do it this way.
What do you? Yeah, Bridget said it's sideways.
Yeah, otherwise it'll be sideways. And this thing only lets me do it sideways. So.
You're good now.
Well, he's holding it.
It's like wobbling everywhere.
So what do I? All right, I'm trying to do the text.
Just let people
Yeah, I know.
watching.
Is it not working?
No, I
Text.
to
Oh,
start to get
oh,
the response.
yeah. It says text Shauna Gearman 621 to 22333 to join. Then text your message. I think that it'll ask you, like, you can put in a username or you can skip it. So skip the username part and keep it.
Text.
Yeah. Put it right up there because it's not that easy to spell. That's a good one. Yay, it worked. You two should pair up.
Fabulous. Oh,
I like that one.
That is amazing.
I feel like I'm on the same wavelength as someone. I don't know who. It's all anonymous. I'm guessing it was you, though, because you're smiling. Okay. I think it's about...
I'm helping Bridget.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. I just don't want them to be lost. So, well, that's okay. Will someone help them if they want to join in on this? I think it tells you how to join in every time I have a poll. Okay. All right. So let's go to the next one. Anyone else still working on it? Okay. Oh, okay. So first, I'd like to talk a little bit about why I chose functional communication and why it's my favorite skill to teach in the whole wide world. First, it's communication, so it's the key to getting what we want, and who doesn't want to get what they want, right? So that right there in and of itself is pretty cool. it opens a person's world to new experiences. You don't really think about it in that way. Most of the time that it's actually comparable to the importance of learning to crawl or walk, learning to communicate, or more important, arguably. But it allows a person access to new reinforcers and new environments. In behavior analysis, they call that a behavioral cusp. A lot of the times in early intervention, we like to focus on behavioral cusps. What that means is that if we teach this one skill, a lot of other skills could just come for free. So if you teach a child to communicate, then you might get some extra things, which we'll talk about in the next couple of slides. Also, functional communication competes with inappropriate behavior. If you can't tell someone what you want, no matter how hard you try, is that better? Against the wall.
It's just, the frame is very small.
Okay. So if you can't tell somebody what you want, how frustrated and mad do you think you would feel? A lot of our kiddos that have that challenge, what? More?
Right there, yeah.
Got it.
Perfect, thank you.
Can you see the thing?
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of them have that challenge, so a lot of problem behavior, anger, those kinds of things are all due to this inability to communicate their wants and needs. So by teaching a functional communication system, we can decrease problem behavior really without even trying to decrease that behavior. It just naturally replaces it. Its effects on others. So if you have a child who has some communication deficits, imagine if those weren't there anymore. If they could communicate, they could tell you what they wanted, they could tell you what they did at school today, what effect would that have on you? And what effect does that have on everyone around them? So it's really impactful. And once they're learned, or once a communication system is learned, changes are often produced in other untaught behaviors, self-initiation, joint attention, asking questions, things like that. So we'll go into that. Okay, poll answer. And for those that just came in, if you would like to join using your cell phone, you don't have to, it's optional, but you will just text Shawnee Gearman 621 to 22333, and your answer will show up on the screen. And it's 100% anonymous, so yes, you can do it or you don't have to. And again, on Facebook, if anybody wants to respond as well, feel free to do that. Okay, verbal. And I need like vocal. Anyone else?
I'm typing.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Okay.
I'm sorry, can you say it again, please?
Yes. Do you have your phone?
Yes.
Okay. If you text my name here, 621, to this number, you will join, and then you text your message, and it shows up on the screen. Does that make sense? You don't have to, though. You don't have to. It's just optional. Yes. Small words, okay. Anybody, any limited verbal, nonverbal? Okay. So this PowerPoint will apply to everybody because we're going to talk about shaping small words to big words, also articulation, as well as other means of communication such as picture exchange systems and sign language. Okay, good answer. All right. This will help me to then know where to focus in terms of the training. So, all right, thank you for responding. Go to the next one. Okay, so the very first step in functional communication is selecting a mode of communication. Speech is always the ultimate goal. We want vocal language, but sometimes we have to get there. And so if they're not ready to begin talking, there are other forms of communication available, such as sign language and picture communication systems. All right, sign language. There are pros and cons to using sign language. That they're really good to know, because some people think that sign language might be the better choice when there are certain cons to think about. So pros, your hands are easily accessible. So you don't forget your hands at the grocery store normally. They're right there. They're moderately easy to prompt, like a response if you're trying to teach them sign language. We can easily grab their hand and show them what sign to make. There are sign language communities, colleges, and there are a lot of supports in place for sign language as well. So those are all things to consider, and I consider as pros. The cons for using sign language or choosing that mode of communication would be that it requires moderate to advanced fine motor skills to create the correct signs. So if you think about sign language and all of the different signs involved in A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, like imagine you have to be able to make those fine movements with your hands and be very coordinated with your hands. So sometimes we do see a deficit in that. So that in that case, you wouldn't really want to choose sign language as the mode of communication. And we always suggest steering away from modified signs for teaching sign language, and that's only because they might not be understood by a community, by the American Sign Language or whatever sign language we choose community. It could be understood by the immediate family, but that only helps them to a certain degree as they get older. So if they can't do the actual real sign for the item, then I wouldn't suggest that mode of communication. We can work on that. We can try to gain fine motor skills or strengthen hands, all that, but usually communication, if they don't have a form of it, is the very first thing we want to target. We wouldn't want to start with teaching the motor skills. We'd want to start right away with, let's get a way for them to request what they need and what they want. Also a con potentially is that the family will also need to learn sign language if they don't know it already. So everybody in the family that would need to communicate with them, so sometimes that's a little bit challenging. All right. Next, picture communication. I have a couple examples that I brought that we can go over. There's lots of different picture communication. These are just a couple that I literally had back on my desk. So if you guys ever wanted to look at them, if you've never seen a PECS book before, this is pretty cool. The book itself has Velcro on it, and it has all these different categories of pictures inside that we actually teach the kiddos to use. And it also has a sentence strip, so they can use it for talking in sentences as well. So I can put that here. Very similar to that, there's a PECS, looks like a CD case or DVD, but I think this is just so to make it so these don't fall out. But again, same thing, pictures. There's pictures to describe moods and yes, no, I need help. Everything you can imagine. And if you have a laminator at home, even more, because you can take a picture of whatever you want. I'm a laminating queen. All right, and then, so the same thing, just bigger. So if you guys want to take a look at those, feel free. I'm going to set them over here. Yes? Oh, yes. I keep forgetting about that. Like this. Oh, okay. PECS book.
I'm sure you got it.
Okay.
That was perfect, because you were halfway in.
PECS DVD case.
Beautiful. Way to Shauna.
Okay.
Yeah, right?
Okay, number 9. Right here. Okay. All right, so to go into a little detail about those. So, pros. Pictures are recognized by a wide audience. If a child came up to you or adult came up to you and handed you a picture, you could probably put together what they were asking for. So because of that, their requests are more likely to be reinforced. And when we're teaching a mode of communication, we want to make sure that they're getting what they are requesting. If they continuously brought something to you and you were never able to provide the reinforcer for that item, they might stop doing it eventually, and we don't want to see that. We want to see it increase, not decrease. You also have the ability to request and label using sentences. So you can do requesting, you can do labeling. There's an I see icon, so you can say, I see a red car. Have full conversations in pictures. And we actually have some kiddos here that do that, and it's pretty amazing. They can talk back and forth using their sentence strip. There are many different types of picture exchange systems, books, boards, also technology, even more common. Computers, iPads, cell phones even have programs, Proloquo being one of them, where you touch the picture and it says what the item is. Or there's even like text to talk, where you can text the words if they can spell, and it talks for you. With that though, if it dies or something, that's difficult because then they might lose their voice. So I really like the hard paper lamination because unless you lose it, it doesn't die. Cons. It's not as easily accessible. You could easily forget this at the grocery store. If the child, you don't have them carrying it with them all the time, they might find they want something and don't have it available to ask for it. Risk not having a picture that corresponds with the desired items. They want something, but they're looking through it and they can't find that item. Luckily, there is a way to combat that a little bit with teaching descriptors. We do have colors, we do have shapes, we do have categories and things like that in there. So if there wasn't something specifically in there, you could say, I want big round bear, and you might be able to put it together what they're asking for. Also, expense, especially for the technology side of this. iPad, you have the expense of the iPad, and then you have the expense of the program. Sometimes the really elite ones are more expensive, so you got to think about that, although it's their voice, so there are definitely programs and things out there to help you purchase something like that if needed. All right, so which form of communication do you believe would be best for your child? I'm just realizing that's pretty much the same question I just asked. But that's okay. It's a different, we'll see the multiple choice, that's what it's called. Good, good. Okay. Perfect. When I was reading about how to put the poll stuff in these presentations, it said to wait an awkwardly long time for you guys to respond. It's like, beat the urge to move on because it's silently awkward. Okay. All right, well, that's good. A combination. Okay. Seems to be majority. All right, quiz question 1. Facebook people out there, you will want this one. Which mode of communication would you not want to use if a person lacks moderate fine motor skills? Spoken words, picture exchange, sign language, Facebook. This one's a trick one because it's not one of the modes we covered. Okay, you guys, I think you have this one. Sign language. Anybody know why? Why wouldn't you want to? Well, you wouldn't want to because they don't have fine motor skills. You're right. Look at that. So smart. All right. Teaching functional communication. So you want to start by teaching them how to request for items. This is any mode of communication, really. Even spoken words, you want to start with requesting. And why is that? That's because developmentally, requests are the first type of language that humans acquire. And that's for a reason. And that's because getting your needs met is like a primary reinforcer in your life. So it's probably one of the first things to come. You can get the cookie that you wanted when you were little. Requesting is the most important first goal. And although these other things are still important, simple requesting takes precedence over them. And sometimes this is good to know because sometimes we don't. So labeling items, saying please and thank you, answering questions, using sentences. If you find that somebody is struggling just to communicate, skip the please and thank you at first. Don't require that. Just require them to say that one word and then get that really happening often, and then we can add the please and thank you for manners, and then also answering questions. If they aren't requesting for things that they want, it's not very likely that they will be answering questions. It happens, but probably not likely. And this is the easiest way to get motivation to engage in communication as well, because if they're requesting for something, you've got them right there. That's their motivation. So you can work with them to either pronounce something more correctly, use the picture, or use a sign to request for that. Okay, pointers for teaching requests. It's best to start teaching how to request items versus activities. So you want to start with items. And the reason for that is that they're easier to provide more quickly after the request. Some activities you could argue could be provided quickly, but then, so one example that I find a lot of with training different therapists, things like that, is, well, what about tickles? If they request tickles, you can give them tickles. Yes, you can. However, there might be something about the activity itself that they really enjoy. Maybe mom always tickles them on their head, but you're tickling them like on their armpits and they don't like it, and then you're actually punishing the behavior. So you want to stick to items that you're familiar with, or that they're familiar with and you know that they like. It's best to choose familiar items. If using pictures, research indicates that it's beneficial to use generic pictures versus specific pictures. And the reason for that being is generic pictures are easier to generalize. So if I'm teaching a child to ask for a cookie and I use just a generic cookie versus a picture of a specific type of cookie that they like, then I'm more likely to ask for a cookie in the presence of more like different types of cookies, if that makes sense. So we want to generalize. You don't want them to associate that one picture with that one item unless we were just using it for that item. All right, teaching requests, the sequence for doing that. So step 1, you'll want to identify and compile motivating items, and only attempt to do this when the child's motivated. Step 2, prompt the desired response. So if I have some different toys here. So this one. So let's say I have a kiddo, we're working on teaching communication. He really wants Mr. Pig here, and he's sitting on the table. He comes up to grab him, and I'm going to prompt the desired response. So he'll come up to me. I could say, pig. That's my prompt. I'm giving him a vocal prompt, and then he can repeat that if we're working on the mode of vocal language. If I was working on Sign language. I don't know what the sign language for pig is. Anyone?
I don't remember.
Okay, well, pretend I know the sign for pig. You would prompt that physically. Or you would prompt them to hand you a picture for the item. And you always start with one picture at first when you're teaching that, because discrimination comes later. Imagine having to look and decide which picture goes with what item. That's a different skill that comes a little bit later. So you'll want to do that. You'll want to use the item and then prompt them to engage in that response, and then reward all prompted requests, especially at the very beginning. Even if I had to hand over hand have them sign for that item, I would just give it to them. Great job, give it to them. Any type of attempt on their own or independent requests, you throw a huge party. You want it to be a big deal because they're getting it. They're getting it. It's pretty amazing when you go from hand over hand getting them to either sign or hand you the picture or say the word to when they're on it, and then they start engaging in that by themselves. And yeah, you definitely want to throw a party. And then you gradually fade back your prompts as they start to do it more and more, a little bit independently. Then you'll want to do that. So with the picture, for example, instead of grabbing their hand and having them grab the picture and hand it to me, I might just touch their elbow towards the picture or point to the picture or slowly start taking away my help so that they learn how to do it on their own. Same thing vocally too. You could say the whole word, like you could be like pig, and then later on you could just be p, and then maybe that's enough to get them to say the word. So you.
Facebook gave us a sign for pig.
Oh.
If anybody wants to know. So apparently back a hand under chin and you go like this.
Oh.
That's a new one. I haven't seen that one.
I haven't seen that one either. I would choose this one to do on Facebook. All right.
But now we know.
Yes. Thank you, Hannah.
Yep.
Thank you, Hannah. Celebrity shout out. Okay. So gradually fade back those prompts and then correct any errors. It is really important to correct. So if, let's say you've taught a sign or two and you're working on something else and they do the incorrect sign for the item, you'll want to correct that right away just so that they don't end up learning that or thinking that sign means this other thing. So it's really important to be consistent and correct the errors as soon as you notice them. For obvious reasons, we don't want them to end up thinking it means something else. And then practice like a lot. Lots. So for this, at least at the clinic here, in one session, if we're working on this, it's probably 1,000 times. Probably. Just because every chance we get, we are trying to get them requesting, not that we're withholding anything or anything like that, but I'd be like, oh, this is so cool, this is so fun, you want to play with it? Like try to make it cool. And then get them asking, get them talking, because once they learn what talking can do for them, it usually soars from there. All right, teaching requests, the secret sauce to teaching requests. If you've been in parent training, I bet you've probably heard this word, differential reinforcement. What this means is that you want to do your ultimate best to only reward appropriate requests. So once you've gotten to that point where they're asking, they're using words or signs or something along those lines, if they revert back to screaming instead, you want to try to not provide that item for a scream, because then you're going to see that come back. If they're using words, only provide reinforcement after they've used their words. That's really important, because that's when you see a backslide, is if you accidentally start reinforcing the inappropriate behavior, which it does happen, and it's okay, you can recover from that. It just takes some more practice trials after that. Okay, so for instance, let's say that a child wants bubbles, okay? And we're talking about differential reinforcement. We want to give them bubbles. That's what we've identified as their motivator. All right. So, how many of you think that you want to provide the bubbles after this situation? Anyone? No. That's considered inappropriate, right? Not appropriate. It almost kind of looks like he's signing for bubbles, but it looks like he's getting a little mad. Over here, who's after we see the sign for bubbles? Do we reinforce after that? Yes, you're right. Okay, so differential reinforcement. Yes, provide reinforcer. No. No, provide reinforcer. Yes, provide reinforcer. Let me try that again. Back up. Pretend that didn't happen. Okay. Differential reinforcement. No. Do not provide the reinforcer. Let's see if this works. It did. And yes. She gets the bubbles. Okay. All right. That's the only animation we've got because I was afraid that was going to mess up. All right. Quiz question number 2. What is the secret sauce for teaching requesting? And I made this up. It is the secret sauce, but if you looked in the textbook, you wouldn't probably find that. Maybe. But in this PowerPoint presentation, what did I say was the secret sauce for teaching requesting? Anyone on Facebook? Oh, yeah. And
Friends on Facebook.
oh, popular. Any questions so far? I know I said I'd stop for questions, but
I have a question.
yes.
And it might be a little too individual, but my daughter, at least, when she is, whether she's echoing a sentence I'm trying to get her to say, or she's spontaneously requesting, I can see that when we're working on a more like complex statement, which she can make, that as she's making her way through it, like the intensity of her anxiety is creeping up, even though she knows she's going to get that item she's requested.
So her anxiety in terms of like the length of time between saying what she
spontaneously asks for, so she'd say, I want the pink pig, please. It's, I want the pink pig, please, like immediate, and sometimes it, as if like if she were to ask it using just I want pink pig, it wouldn't have that same anxiousness or intensity to it.
That's interesting. And you're sure it's anxiety versus excitement? Like she's not like excited to get the item? No?
Maybe some of the time.
Sometimes.
You can tell it's more,
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I've definitely seen anxiety in terms of they might think they aren't saying it correctly, or, yes.
Well, I was going to say, like, my son, if you don't hear him, and you ask him to repeat himself, like, it's over. Like, he doesn't want to say it again. Like, I think he thinks he said it wrong.
Okay.
So it's like, if he's saying something long or big, and it's like, can you say it again? It's like, no. It's like.
What would happen if you just waited to see if he would say it again without prompting him? Like if he said something and you were just like, as if you didn't hear him, would he repeat it, I wonder? Because sometimes sometimes asking them to do something versus doing something on their own, sometimes it's a trigger. So in that case, I would feel it out and see if, okay, I didn't hear what he said, I'm just going to wait and see if he says it again. Because if he wants something, then maybe he's motivated to ask again. I have done that for kids who speak very softly. They might be asking for something, and so we're using this method to actually increase volume. So if they really want something, I might just hold off until I get that correct volume, and then I'm like, that was saying it so I could hear it, or whatever I'm looking for at that point. And then the next time, do the same thing again. Wait for it, and then provide the reinforcer after that. You just got to feel it out. It's different for every kid. So maybe trying that, and then in that situation, I wouldn't really know without seeing it, but we can talk more about that later too. All right, differential reinforcement. You guys are right. Next. All right, articulation. And I mentioned this before that we can use this to improve articulation. So for those who are able to make requests, but it's difficult for a stranger to understand, mom, dad, you understand it more than likely. You know what they're asking for. You know what they're saying. But if they were to come to school and ask for that, are we going to be able to provide that for them? If not, it might not be a bad idea to work on the articulation of whatever it is that they're requesting. So you could use it to focus on shaping articulation. So when a request is made but the word sounds incorrect, prompt them to say it better or hold off and have them say it again to get that better articulation. And remember to use differential reinforcement. All right. What am I doing on time here? Okay, well, because this will get pretty quick. This was actually my last part. So, practice time. So, step 1, pair up. I know this is so fun. I can number you guys off if you want me to. 1, 2, 3, go. Don't move so fast. Oh, you're reading the instructions. Oh, okay, we'll go. Okay. I can see what kind of learners you guys are. Let me do this. Step 1, pair up. Step 2, I will assign which communication mode you'll be practicing. Be scared. Step 3, choose who will be the teacher and who will be the learner. Step 4, the teacher will go find 2 to 3 toys that they think the learner will be motivated for. So you're literally going to get up. There's lots of toys to choose from all around here. Step 5, role play through teaching steps provided using your assigned mode of communication, which, don't worry, I have the steps on the next slide. Step 6, switch roles using the same item so you don't have to get up and go back and forth. Step 7, practice teaching different communication roles if there's time. Okay, so step 1, pair up. And come on out, or you can stay. You can come on out. Can help me go around and make sure everybody paired up, paired up, paired up, paired up. I think over here she needs a partner, I think, right? Oh, you two are together? Okay. I thought you two were together. Okay, all 3 of you. 3 is a good number for a team. All right. Okay, so choose which one. Well, okay, we're going to skip number 2 for just now. Choose which one will be the teacher and which one will be the learner. Have you guys all chosen? Okay. All right. So we're going to do sign language, picture exchange, verbal vocal language. Sign language, picture exchange, vocal. Can we remember? If you need help with sign language, we can ask Facebook. Okay. I can spell. I like your choices. I've also up here, I was going to show you, well, I could have shown you guys more. I'll just walk around and do it with you. Anybody? We've got a guitar. Oh, he's got the dinosaur. Or the sensory thing. Anyone? Sensory. All right, I'll just.
I have like 200 of those at home.
Yeah, we do too.
Can you only give us 2 questions?
Yes, yes. Only 2. Out there, only 2 questions. I wasn't privy to the 3-question policy. Okay, all right. Lots of choices.
Okay, one more. Oh, he's got a minion. There you go.
So if you guys would like to just role play amongst yourselves, I'm not going to make you take turns, anything like that, in terms of coming up here or anything like that. So does everybody remember which mode of communication we were going to start with?
Sign language.
Sign language. Pictures. Do you need a picture?
Yep.
Okay. Picture, sign language, vocal. Okay. All right, so you need this part. All right. So you have now identified and compiled some motivating items. I think he's coming. He's coming. Okay, so for sign language.
Baby in a book.
Baby in a book. I think this is book, right? Book.
Baby.
Okay, so that one. Oh,
Yeah.
you picked those on purpose. All right. That's why I told you guys before, because I was like, maybe. I like it. Smart. Okay, so what you'll do then is you'll use these items. So the teacher will be engaging with the items, making them look really fun, like they will really want to play with it. And then the learner is going to go for those items, initiate motivation for those items. Don't try to snatch it. We're going to be easy on you at first.
She's not gonna assume a meltdown phase.
I mean, if you want to get, that's in the advanced class.
Got some on video.
Yeah. You probably have enough practice there. Okay, so let's see. So for sign language then. So let's practice.
You want your book all at the same time?
Yeah, you guys can all practice amongst yourselves or watch or whatever. I'm really not too controlling. Good.
Want to read the book? About Alice book?
Okay, good. Perfect. So your prompt was to show, to model, which is okay, but model is really hard to fade out. So you want to actually physically prompt her to do it and then fade back.
Do you want me to take her hands?
Yeah, I mean, but she did it all by herself anyway, so she's already up here.
Okay.
So let's say you don't know at all. This is the first time you're doing it. You're playing with the book. She goes to grab for the book. And then you would say, well, you'd have to model, but then you'd grab and have her do it. So don't get confused. Try it again.
Okay. So you want me to say book
You can, or you can just be playing with it. Yeah, like,
and describing things?
yeah, making it just look really fun.
Wow.
And then go to grab, and then you'll say, you can pull back and go, book. Book. Good job. That's saying book. Perfect. Just like that. Because sometimes we forget that second part. It's really, unless you're really used to it, you'll be like, book, why aren't they doing it? You got to book and then prompt them.
Tie in.
Yep. So you can pair the model with the physical. I know. It's definitely not a first choice. I'd rather do the pictures first just because of the audience part of it, but
First thing that was given to us when Mike was 2 years old.
mhm.
His initial pictures, and his pictures it was never a book. They gave him a first, next,
Okay. Yeah.
and then all the pictures were on the back.
Okay.
And his were simplified. It wasn't. And I mean,
It was like a
he's
modified-
10 now. He's 10 now, but when he was like 2, it would show a picture of food that he was hungry. It didn't say breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It was just a picture of food.
Okay.
And then it would show like a picture of a bathtub, and it would show something to drink.
Okay.
And then it would just show random toy box.
Okay.
Like very small.
Yeah, it could start that way, and then you move into more specifics.
Well,
But
he finally started talking, which
Good.
made it a whole lot better. So.
well, and with the picture books, as soon as I start hearing some words and things, I will pair, like you were doing with the book, I'll pair the word with it and require them to say something, and then they could hand me the picture, but then I'm requiring that response too.
Yeah.
So it's just play around with it.
We didn't know when he was little that he couldn't hear, which was making it.
Yes.
So when he was finally able to hear after he had tubes put in his ears, he was almost 3.
Actually, that's a pretty common error. I've had quite a few clients who I'm like, have you had his hearing checked? Because
That's
honestly, it is, and it really is.
We still have the issue because the tubes embedded, they didn't come out. So
Mm.
now he still goes for audiology screenings because of hearing loss.
Okay.
Because of how they were embedded.
Oh goodness.
But
But
found them when he was almost almost 8 years old when they had his tonsils and adenoids taken out.
My God, I have no way. I don't even know how that works. I don't even know how you lose them. I don't know.
He just went in instead of.
Oh, and that was probably irritating, I'm sure, too. Huh. How are you guys doing over here? Good? Got it? Do you need any help with the pictures?
There's no colors.
There's no colors in this one?
No.
You won't, yeah,
It's
you,
really kind of odd.
this one probably he's not to that point yet. Well, this one's a brand new one. So
Yeah.
you have to add, like, take things out, put some in. There's a bunch of different options.
Yeah.
So I just took the closest
yeah.
one. I told her this is
No, that's perfect.
Yep.
That's perfect. Yeah. And
cars, and I just
yep.
said,
Perfect. Yeah, so let's see. So who's the teacher? You're the teacher. Okay, you're the learner.
yeah.
Okay, so then we'll face this towards you, and then you'll have the picture. So you're the learner.
Yeah.
So, and you wouldn't know this. It's okay. Usually it's on the book.
Oh, it's on the book.
Yep.
Okay.
So that way, you're also teaching them to use the book, because whatever's available you'll put on the top
I see
here.
what you're
So let's say you are going after the car, okay? And then you're gonna prompt her to grab the picture.
So
Yes.
I would put the
Yes.
sticker
So
on the top and then
yes,
she would
correct.
choose.
So I would be like, oh, you like the car, you like the minion. Let me get, and then put it up here. And then I would be like, oh, this is such a cool car. And like, if you go to reach for the car. I would be like, car.
Oh, I see.
And then have you can me the picture. Car, good job. Here you go. And then I'd put it back on there. And then when I take it back, do it again. So, and at first you just hand it off here, and then as you start using sentences, then you start using the sentence strip. So it'd be like, I want car.
Okay.
I want car. So that's how that works. In case you ever want to know.
Okay, I'm telling her this is what I want.
Yes. So basically, this would be all around the house. You teach different steps. The first step is just the exchange, and then you teach distance and persistence. So I'm going to put this book way far away from me and have you bring the picture to me, because that's an extra step. Also, to persistence. So if I'm not paying attention, teach you to like, hey, I have this picture here, just to make sure in any situation they would be able to request using the picture. Because when you have words, it's easy to be like, hey, but exactly. Blessing and yes. All right, how you doing over here?
We're good.
You good?
Pig with a bug.
Pig with a book. Do you guys need any help?
We just did sign language.
Okay.
Wait. No. You wanted the pig with the bug.
Okay. Oh my gosh, two. Look at that. You're pros. Okay. And then switch. I'm tricking you. Yep, so you just make it look really fun, make her really want to play with that pig in that book.
There you go.
It's okay if you look a little goofy. There you go. You really want that. Good job. Perfect. And then you gave it to her right away. Good job. How are you guys doing? Good.
Verbally, well, we're working on more of, we know a lot of the assistants at the pictures can do in sign language. This is a big goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, like colors, using colors to associate the toys.
Okay.
Using the sounds.
So descriptors and like categories. Okay.
And kind of knowing that they can use more than one descriptive word to still get the reward. We don't want them to think like they have to say brown dog.
Yeah, you want them to vary their responses. You don't want it to sound rote. We run into that just because you're so focused on training the one. So at first you just train the same one over and over, but then you start requiring them to vary. You will prompt different responses, and then something we do is, it's to be technical, it's called a lag schedule, which means whatever they used previously, they can't use again to get it. So you have to like change it up. So if they say yes, So we do that a lot because we don't want it to be, I want brown dog, please. I want brown dog, please. I want brown dog, please. You want it to be, I want the brown dog. I want the dog big. It's big, you know, whatever it is. Like you just vary that up. So yeah. So just sometimes, depending on how many we want to practice, we actually list them. So sometimes there's a rule like it has to be different than the last 2 that they used. Takes a lot of keeping track, but it's worth it if they can catch on to it. Yeah. Okay. Yes. How are you guys?
We're trying to use vocal language.
Vocal. Okay. Do you want me to do it first?
Please.
Okay, here. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is, what is this? A beaver, okay. Yes, that makes sense. So what I would do, so if I'm the teacher and you're the learner, I would just be like, whoa, this is a cool beaver, woohoo, like, and then try to get you to want it, right? So if you were reaching for it, so go to reach for it, I would be like, beaver. Beaver. Good job. Here you go. So then once I get that response that I'm looking for, I would give it then.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You're welcome. And then yeah, you just switch roles.
Keep talking, right?
Yep. Yeah.
I remember a long time ago when my daughter have 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, talk to my only go touch and point and say, that's talking.
Yeah. So she did a lot of pointing and pulling you to items. Yeah. We see that a lot. In that case, I would be beaver get them to talk, because the more they use it, the more they're gonna do it. So. Thank you. How are you guys?
We're talking about building his progress.
Oh yes.
Did extra ones.
Good job. Yay. Okay.
He's made so much progress.
Yeah, we love Dylan. He's amazing. I remember he's grown so much too. Oh my goodness. It's been, 2 years? 2 years, yeah. Okay. All right, guys. You guys all did so great. I just have one more thing. I always ask, to be continued. So there's a lot more to learn on this topic. We only covered requesting for functional communication because it's the first thing. But I'll continue to address functional communication throughout more parent trainings or videos on Facebook or social media, LinkedIn. Thank you for coming. But I do have feedback requests. If you guys are still on the I don't even know what you call it. Phone? Facebook? Is this on? 0 surveys underway. So complete the survey. Oh, it looks like you have to go to the website. Well, if you would like, I'm going to keep it open if you guys just want to take a picture of it, and then later on at home or something when you get to a computer. Basically, the survey just asks, how did I do? Have any suggestions for me? How was the content? Anything like that. I very much appreciate feedback. That way next time I can make changes if needed, or make sure I cover a topic that you like. Aw, thank you. Thank you. All right, guys. All right, on Facebook, everyone, thank you so much. And if you'd like to leave some feedback for me as well, feel free to go to that website. I didn't know it would use my name. I would have put something else in it. Something easier to spell. All right, thank you. What do they normally do?